Hey guys, I'd like to welcome you to my kitchen. I'm Jamison, and this is how I cook. You saw the thumbnail. We are making jumbo lump crab cakes. Crab cakes are one of the more intimidating recipes, but it's really super simple once you understand what goes into it and what you're trying to accomplish. And what I love about crab cakes is that crab cakes is a showstopper. When you cook people wonderfully brown crab cakes, perfectly cooked, and put them on a salad, it's a perfect meal, it's a perfect lunch, it's a perfect appetizer. It's a great way to show people that you really love them in the kitchen. And up next, I'm gonna show you how I make my crab cakes on This Is How I Cook. So guys, before we get into our recipe, be sure to hit that subscription button for me and turn on those notifications so that you can see whenever I publish a new video and a new recipe. Here are our ingredients. We're gonna start with the star of the show. This is our jumbo lump crab meat. We've got a container here. I get this from Costco. We've got one large egg as part of our binder. We've got some wonderful seasoned panko breadcrumbs. You could just use regular breadcrumbs if you want. Some recipes even say that you can use saltines, that's fine. We've got a little bit of parsley, dried parsley here we're gonna add in for some color, for a little bit of a garnish. Not pictured here, we're gonna put in the juice of one lemon. We've got some mayonnaise as part of our dressing here that we're gonna mix up with our binder for the crab cakes. We've also got some wonderful Cajun seasoning here. You can use Old Bay, you could use paprika if you wanted to, but I feel like seafood and Cajun seasoning goes together, so that's what we're gonna rock with. And we've got a little bit of accent here as well as a flavor enhancer, just a tap of that to make that taste really pop through on the crab cakes. Also, we've got some Dijon mustard. All the exact amounts, I put them in the recipe I listed down below. Yeah, man, let's get to mixing up these crab cakes. All right, so what we like to do here is juice our lemon. I've got a strainer set up in here so that I don't get any seeds into my mixture. And I'm making the dressing first, or the binder first, so that I can avoid having to over stir the crab cakes. So the next thing we're gonna put in here is 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. Looks about right. The next thing is we're gonna put in 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. One of my favorite YouTube channels I like to watch is Smoking and Grilling with AB. He calls this W sauce. So we're gonna put in 2 teaspoons of that W sauce. Next thing we're gonna put in is a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. So in this case here, I'm putting in 3 generous tablespoons of mayonnaise. We're gonna put in a tablespoon of this dry parsley. If you got fresh parsley, same amount will be fine. The final thing we wanna do is we're gonna add in our egg. So this is 1 large egg. And so what I'm gonna do here is combine this together. And I wanna get this smooth. If you watch my video on how to make salad dressing, I'm trying to create an emulsion here with the egg, the mayo, all right, so that's our base there. Lastly, I'm gonna add in here a little bit of this Cajun seasoning. I like my crab cakes with a little bit of this Cajun seasoning. And so I'm gonna put in here about 1.5 teaspoons or a tablespoon. And this is gonna give them a nice kick. And this is all the seasoning I put in there. I don't put any pepper in there. I don't put any salt in there. And like I mentioned, my accent, just a tap of this, not even much of that. That was probably like a half a teaspoon. And mix all that together. You want to get down to the bottom real good. And then the star of our show, we're gonna add this crab meat and we're gonna just fold this into our dressing. This is beautiful crab meat. Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. Great ingredient. Take my whisk out here and I'm gonna just take my time and whoop, the whole thing dropped out. Beautiful. The last thing I wanna do here is I want to kind of just softly, and I got a soft spatula here. You see how soft the spatula is? And I'm just gonna kind of work and begin to break the crab meat up into my dressing here, right? You see I'm not stirring. You see I'm not in there just going crazy. I'm just taking my time and lightly agitating this so it breaks it apart. And then I kind of want to just break up the larger chunks in here, but I don't want to lose the texture of my crab. I just want to break it down enough where the large chunks are broken up some, right? So that I can easily turn these into crab cakes. And that's it right there. You see that texture? You see how I've gotten it? I haven't overstirred it. The crab's not stringy. You know, it doesn't look like it's been through a food processor. That's where you want to be at. And so finally, the last thing we've got to add in here to help dry up some of this moisture is we're going to put in our breadcrumbs. Another mistake that you see with a lot of crab cakes, especially when you go out to certain restaurants, is that they will use breadcrumbs in place of crab meat. So you get a lot of really cakey crab cakes full of breading. I'm just going to use enough breadcrumbs here to soak up some of this dressing and this binder so that the crab cakes have a good texture. So I'm just going to start, I wouldn't even call this a quarter of a cup of these seasoned breadcrumbs. And what I'm going to do is just take my time here and fold these over into my mixture. Once again, I don't want to overstir my crab. And see, this is still kind of moist. It's still kind of a wet mixture for my crab meat. So what I'm gonna do is come back in again, this time a little bit less, because I don't want these cakey. I just want these to bind together. And this breading makes a good way for these to bind together. So what we're gonna do now to cook our crab cakes, we're gonna bake these on a baking sheet. There's a lot of advantages to cooking our crab cakes this way. The first major advantage is that we don't have to worry about them falling apart as we try to flip them in a skillet. The skillet cooking technique is faster, but this is the better approach in terms of the end product. You spray this aluminum foil covered cookie sheet with a little bit of spray, oil. So I spray this with some oil. And then what I'm gonna do is take my crab cake mixture here, and I'm gonna get a good bit, and I'm kind of working it in the bowl, and I'm gonna press it a little bit to help form the cake. So, and then we just take it and slide it off our spoon right there. And then we press it out into the shape of a crab cake that we want. And like I said, you can kind of work these into the shape that you want them. That's one of the nice things about doing them in the oven. I also like using an ice cream scoop for this too. That makes it super easy to do this, but you can see you can get this done with a spoon. That mix that we made previously will make about 8 crab cakes this size. And so the last thing we gotta do is put them in the oven. I'm gonna put these in the oven at 425, and I'm gonna cook these until they become set. You can take them at that point in time, cook them a little bit farther until the edges start to brown. But I like them right there. So that takes about 25 minutes or so at 425. I can't wait to show you guys what these look like next. These are our beautiful crab cakes. This is what they're supposed to look like once they're finished cooking. Beautiful crab cakes. So we're gonna turn this into a wonderful appetizer or a light lunch. And I'm gonna show you how I make a salad out of this. Just a little bit more. We take our salad mix, and this is nothing but a spring mix. And what I like to do here is I like to kind of work and push everything to the edge and make like a little nest in there. And then we try to balance out the salad a little bit too, right? If we've got too much on one side. Then we'll take one of our crab cakes here, one of our beautiful crab cakes. We'll work it up off of the tin foil. And lay it right here in the center. You know what? How about one more? Beautiful crab cakes. Lay it right there in the center. That's beautiful. And our last touch is how about some of that salad dressing I made earlier. This beautiful tarragon, honey tarragon salad dressing here. We'll just take a little bit of that and drizzle it all over the salad. Give a little bit of this over the crab cakes. A bit more on the edge. Yes, sir. We could come back in here with a little bit more drizzle, not too much. That's perfect. Get a little bit of the salad here with this honey tarragon dressing I made. Oh man. This is easily one of my favorite appetizers to make. Like I said, you can do this as a light lunch. You can make these for brunch. You can make these for dinner. The Cajun seasoning shows up. The lemon juice shows up. And once again, the crab is the star of the show. This is a wonderful, probably one of my favorite recipes. This is a wonderful dish. Let me get one more bite of this. Wow. Guys, you gotta make those crab cakes. You gotta make those crab cakes. Do me a favor, guys. Hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications. That way you guys can stay in touch with the channel easier and watch the videos when they come out and you'll know when they first hit the streets. Guys, I'm Jamison. This is how I cook. Go and make those crab cakes. Those are jumbo lump crab meat crab cakes. These are the best thing you'll ever add to your recipe book. Thank you guys again for watching the show. I'm gonna get back to these crab cakes. These are good.